Bienvenidos and welcome to the first
Holla,
ever, the inaugural, the birth of Average
birthday,
Jose's Sports Talk. I'm
started
your
this
host, Jeremiah,
9/19/2023, and I'm Cullen.
and we are so excited to get started on this, man. I'm pumped for this. We talk about sports so much already, so we might as well just record ourselves and, see if we can get other people's takes on here too, because we
Make the
do it too
most of
much
it.
anyways. But how you feeling about the podcast, dude?
Scared.
Yeah. I've never
People are
done it.
gonna know that I'm a casual.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Hey, man, what do you think about Dante Precept's yards this week?" And I'm just, who?
Ooh,
I'd be like, "Hey, you guys only talk about football. What kind of sports talk is this?"
I only care about football. I will start off by saying that. I don't care about other sports at all.
For you non-football fans at home, we do have non-football related stuff today, but it will be very basic and shallow because we decided to put this together yesterday. Did no research, and so we're just winging it here today.
Yes, sir.
But before we get started on our sports talk today, I'm just going to give you guys a little agenda for the day. We got a quiz bowl to kick off the afternoon here where we will ask each other questions. And whoever gets the most questions right gets to start on the next segment called Team Takes, where we will just be talking about how our teams did this past week. It'll probably be very depressing because we don't have good teams. After that, we'll just kind of talk about the sports world in general, just news around games that were fun to watch, injuries and whatnot. Few championships kicking off here soon. I mean, the Champions League kicks off today. The MLB playoffs coming up soon. The WNBA playoffs are going on. So just kind of looking at some of those. We'll look at next week in sports, some important games to keep an eye out for, some fun matchups. Then we'll got some hot takes that we'll discuss, and then we'll finish off with some pick'ems. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and knock out a quick quiz bowl.
Yes, we can.
Do you want to ask me first, or do you want me to ask you first?
I guess I could ask you first.
All right, hit me with it.
Question number 1. Who was the best tight end of the week?
Best tight end of this week. Interesting. Okay. I'm guessing you're meaning for NFL.
Yes, my bad.
College
NFL
too.
Of the 900 college teams, who had the best tight end?
Are we looking at like yardage, like who put up the most yards?
Just all around best tight end of the week.
I don't think it would have been Kelsey. Shoot, dude. Was it Taysom Hill?
It was not.
Dang, they were using him a lot at QB, so I was wondering if he was putting up some crazy numbers.
They were using him a lot at QB, but my boy TJ Hawkinson had 66 yards. I believe it was 66 yards. I might have forgot that number. He did have 66 yards, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 24 yards.
Oh my gosh.
He almost had 100% completion because he only had 8 targets for 7 catches.
Dude, that's nuts. Wow.
And that is why he got me 21 points on fantasy.
I should have checked fantasy. I should have just seen who your tight end was. I should have known it would have been who you picked. Dang, that's crazy, dude. That's a hard one. Knowing tight ends and who's putting up numbers that's a talent that I do not have apparently, and I need to refine. Dang.
I looked up the stats right before we got on.
All right.
When I said hold on, don't start, it's because I was finishing up my questions.
I figured. All right, let's get to mine then. Question number 1. I've got a University of Wyoming themed list here for my questions, so it'll be fun. What's the highest the University of Wyoming has ever ranked on the AP poll?
I know for a fact 2-3 seasons ago we were ranked 22 for a little bit of time.
Yes.
but I know that we also went decently far, like the 70s or something, in all around college. Don't think we would ever be ranked first. Three's kind of on my brain. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just thinking three. I'm gonna say three.
You're
Heck it.
so close. Number 6.
6.
In 1967, the University of Wyoming went 10-0 in the regular season and finished the season at number 6.
Oh, we got robbed. 10-0. We only got 6th.
And they won. So in '67. This is way back when. This is before Mountain Conference, and they were part of the Western Athletic Conference, is what it was called back then. And so that same season, they took the championship, and then they played in the Sugar Bowl, which will go into my second question here. So in that year, '67, who did the University of Wyoming play in the Sugar Bowl? I'll give you like 2 or 3 guesses.
I'm gonna ask: does it have to be like a Western team?
No, it does not have to be a Western. It is.
Okay. I don't actually know how bowls work, like fully casual. I didn't know if it would be like same conference or something.
Right.
Georgia.
Not Georgia. You got 2 more.
Ole Miss.
Not Ole Miss. You got 1 more.
Ohio
Nope.
State.
It was LSU.
Oh, wow.
It was our only loss of the season. We lost to LSU 20-13 after leading 13-0 at halftime. We were outscored 20-0 in the second half.
Sounds like a Wyoming game.
Doesn't it? I read that and I was like, dude, they could go 10-0 and they still play like Wyoming today.
We just did that last week. That's crazy.
Isn't that nuts? All right, we're both 0 points on the board. This is rough already.
All right. My second one was, which running back in the NFL had the most rushing yards in week 2?
Most rushing yards week 2. Wasn't Nick Chubb. I'll tell you that much.
Could have been if he didn't get his leg taken off of his body.
Was it Saquon Barkley?
Saquon Barkley also got injured.
Yeah, but he got injured at the end of the game.
It was not. He's not even top 3.
Really? It wasn't McCaffrey, was it?
Nope, it was DeAndre Swift of the Eagles
for
175 yards.
I watched that game too.
I totally forgot. It was Thursday.
Totally forgot about DeAndre. Yeah, he put up numbers that night.
He also put up numbers last week. He had like 30 fantasy points or something.
Yeah, dude, DeAndre Swift is insane. He's having a good season. And with Saquon out, Nick Chubb destroyed, like, Jamal Williams, who knows what's happening with him. Like, I think DeAndre Swift has a good chance of being like running back of the year, putting up records.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's true.
Thing is, McCaffrey's putting up more like touchdowns and like catches. I mean, the week 1 he had, I don't even think he had crazy yards. I think he had just over like 100, but he had crazy points because he had so many touchdowns, so many carries. That's why he's doing so good in fantasy. Is the carries.
That's why I drafted him first overall, baby. Don't come at me.
You do every year.
I do every year. All right. Dang, that's tough. All right, let me do my last one. You need to get this. Basically, if you get this, you got to go first because this is tough.
It's your last one.
Yeah, it's my third question.
How? I asked the first question.
Yeah, and then I asked 2 back-to-backs.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm not smart.
All right. How many University of Wyoming players have been drafted to the NFL?
Well, I know the year Allen left, there was at least 3. That's pretty much the only 3 that I know of. I remember when I was first getting into football, your dad or my dad was like, "Oh yeah, this guy's like from Wyoming. He's like really
Mm-hmm.
good." I'm gonna say 25.
85.
Oh wow,
With
that's a
the
lot
highest,
more than I thought.
yeah, highest drafted overall being Josh Allen. Do you remember what he was drafted at?
God, that was what 2018.
It was 2018, yes. And it was a great quarterback year too. So it was first round obviously, but like it wasn't crazy high.
I don't think he went last in the first round.
No, it was top 10, I'll give you that much.
It was the Bills who
Mm-hmm.
weren't good. I say 7th overall.
It was 7th overall, the highest a Wyoming Cowboy has ever been drafted.
Which is
And
honestly
then
crazy because I don't
right.
think I would never have thought if it wasn't for Josh Allen that would be in the top 32.
Oh yeah. The most Cowboys ever drafted in like a single draft is 5 from 1968.
Hmm. That wasn't even our good year, was it? Didn't you say 60? Oh no, you said 67.
67. So it would have been the year after
So
that
it would have, yeah. Okay.
run,
I was thinking you said 69.
which I don't know how we did the following year, but I'm sure it was trash if we lost 5 players.
Yeah, we lost 5 players and we lost to LSU. So we
All
started
right.
off our season right then and there. Did terrible.
Yeah. All right. Give me your last one. If I don't get it right, you can go first on team takes because you guessed Josh Allen's draft.
All right. Which player in the NFL, well, okay, which quarterback in the NFL so far this season, so all around, has the lowest completion percentage?
So far,
Yes, off of after week 1, week 2, this quarterback has the lowest completion percentage.
is it Aaron Rodgers with 0?
No, he's not on the list, I don't think. I'm assuming they took him off just because
Because he was
he's
injured.
injured and doesn't really count.
All right.
It does have 33, but I don't know who the 33rd is.
That's weird. I mean, maybe it's like a backup or something who played. I don't know who would have played more snaps. Um, Interesting. All right. Lowest completion percentage.
Oh, it's the Colts because they have Anthony Richardson who got injured, and then they have
He got a
Gardner
concussion.
Minshew.
Is it Gardner Minshew who's the lowest?
No, he's actually the second highest. He has a 76%
Really?
completion.
Probably because he threw like 3 passes because came in like towards the end of the game. All right, so let's see. Would it be Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought so. He was like a complete flop after like the yeah, I mean he did decent like week 1, just getting tossed in there, but then like this past week, everyone was like, yeah, this is why they had Rodgers in the first place. Oh yeah, that makes sense. If it's not Rodgers, then it makes sense to be Zach Wilson or
You want to know
Jets.
who's lower than Justin Fields? The
Who?
Bears quarterback.
Who?
Kenny Pickett,
Makes sense.
Bryce Young,
Makes sense.
Joe Burrow.
That's insane. That's actually insane. And I've got something on that for later because Joe Burrow
Jordan
this
Love.
year, he had a rough week 2, I think.
Yeah, but he destroyed the Bears in week 1. It's not like we did good week 1.
That's true.
Deshaun Watson
Oh yeah, he hasn't
and
been.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
All lower completion percentages than my
that's
boy
crazy.
Justin Fields.
That's crazy. Where's Russell Wilson ranking on that?
13th with a 68.2% completion percentage.
Over half, baby. Let's go.
All of them are half. Zach Wilson's is a 54.2.
Well, that's good. He's not complete trash.
I don't.
Awesome.
Did you mean half of the list?
No, half
completion
percentage.
Okay. After I said that, I was like, I'm so dumb. Justin Fields is over 60, 60.6.
Okay. Who's
Shaping up
number
to be his
one
best
overall?
season.
Who's best
Josh
overall?
Allen, after having 3 interceptions in the first game, he has a
Those are probably his only
76.9.
incompletions. Those are probably his only incompletions. That's crazy. I mean, like Mahomes would be higher if Week 1 wasn't such an atrocious showing of his wide receiver core.
Mahomes is number 24. 62.5%.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Week 1 definitely screwed him over on that, I think.
Well, what do we do now? Because we both got one right.
Yeah,
I made 3 questions.
I made 3 questions too. I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to think of something that we can like have you guess. You know what? I don't care. You can just go first. I'll make it easy.
I could guess your birthday,
Let's not do that.
September 5th.
Okay, maybe we should do that. All right, you can go ahead and go first. Who do you want to talk about first?
You already know who I'm be trying to talk about because it's going to be like a double talky point. Because they're pretty much the same team. So the Bears and the Wyoming Cowboys, okay? My college team, I'm from Wyoming, and my NFL team, because my family is from Illinois. They are the exact same team. And Jeremiah got to experience that this weekend when I was telling him about it. The Wyoming Cowboys, okay? We went in, we played Texas. We started the game with a long touchdown, 7-0 right off the rip. And then we stopped them with our defense, a 3 and out, and they actually lost 5 games. Then we come back in, and we did nothing. And we kept doing nothing. And then Texas started playing the game in the fourth quarter. It was a close game until the fourth quarter, and Wyoming just stopped playing.
10-10 at one point.
Yeah, like I said. And then pick 6, the end of the game, just seals away the game. I don't think we had a chance anyways, but it really sealed the game when he threw a pick 6 at like, I don't know, towards the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I think that made every Wyoming fan turn the game off at that point.
Wyoming started the game 2-0. They were going into Texas, playing a Texas team that had just beat number 3 Alabama the week before. We had beat Texas Tech. We had beat, who else did we play? Portland State?
But Portland State, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't count, like really count. But we started the season 2-0. Haven't seen that in a while. I don't even know if we started 2-0 without Allen as a quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we could have been ranked after that. Like, if we had beat a number 4 Texas team after they had just beat number 3 Alabama in Texas, we would have been ranked. We would have been 3-0. I was thinking, it is our season. I was getting my hopes up. And then in the fourth quarter, we stopped playing after. I mean, really, we stopped playing after the first drive, but we really stopped playing after the third quarter.
What's crazy too is like the rest of our schedule is like a lot of Western Conference teams, so I don't think there's a chance for us to break that top 25 now. Even if we win the rest of them, maybe we do, but like,
no, I don't think so.
I don't like. No one's gonna care if we beat Air Force. You know, like no one's gonna care if we beat CSU. Like these are all unranked teams that we're playing for. So like this was our shot to get top 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that playing a number 4 team after they just beat a number 3 team at their home, like that would have been for sure a ranking.
What do you think the role of not having Peasley at quarterback did for UW? Do you think if we had Peasley and we had more of a shot? You can see on the sheet here, we've got Evan Svoboda. Is that his name? Svoboda?
I think so.
We've got his stats up here compared to Quinn Ewers from Texas. And I mean, Svoboda, he threw more yards. He completed more passes. No touchdowns, and then obviously that pick 6, but he had a higher QB rating than Ewers did.
I think what killed us not having Peasley in was Peasley can get out of the pocket, maneuver so well, and make a play happen.
Yeah.
We saw that in the Texas Tech game when it was fourth down and we were about to lose the game. As he's going down, he like shovel passes it
Yep.
forward to the tight end who got it in for a touchdown and got us into overtime to win. Peasley can make things happen.
Yeah.
He might not have the best attempts or the best yards, but when he needs to, he can make things happen, whether it's with his feet, whether it is passing, a crazy out of pocket pass. He can do it. Watching Svoboda play was terrifying because he would have a four-man rush on him and just throw it with his eyes closed and his head turned.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised there was only the one interception because he felt like he'd never played quarterback before. And when there was an open gap for him to at least pick up 1, 2, 3 yards, he didn't run at all. He would just try to throw it and make something happen. But it was like he was scared of moving his feet. I think the game would have been. I don't know if we would have won still. I was expecting us to lose anyways.
Mm,
But I expected the game to be a lot closer than that. And I think it
right.
would have been if Peasley was in.
No, that's fair. Now, this might be a hot take. Do you think, after watching that game, watching the previous week Texas Alabama, do you think Wyoming could take Alabama, especially with the QB issues Alabama's facing right now?
I do think that's tough because, like you said, they don't really have a QB. But what killed them in the Texas game was how many penalties they had, and maybe turnovers too, but for sure penalties. So if they had played a clean game, they would have beat Texas. So it really just all depends on how they go. I think with our good like rush defense and our good like solid defensive line, I think we could pressure the quarterback a lot better and we would have a chance of beating Alabama, but we would still need Peasley to be in on
Oh
the
yeah.
offensive side.
Oh yeah. I mean, Texas is number 3 now. We haven't seen a Texas dynasty like this in years. Like it's been forever since we've seen Texas compete at this level, and so it's been an interesting college football season so far, and it's just been like 3 weeks. So I'm interested to see what Texas is going to do for the rest of the season. I mean, beating Alabama and Wyoming isn't really anything to write home about, especially this year when Alabama's struggling with their QB room and when Wyoming has a concussed quarterback. So, like, I feel like Texas hasn't had a true challenge yet. But it'll be interesting to see moving forward what that looks like. They clearly have the defense to stop teams. I mean, they held up Alabama in like to such insane minimal yardage. And then on top of that, like their quarterback Ewers, he is a pretty stud QB. I mean, he threw 11 completions for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like that's actually nuts. And what's more insane is he had a lower QB rating than Svoboda at 61.4.
Yeah.
And so I think Texas has a good shot at chasing a championship this year. It just all comes down to how they hold up against higher caliber teams like, you know, Michigan, Georgia. You know, these are teams they're going to have to play if they're going to make a championship run. And so if they can keep their strong defensive front that they're holding on to right now, I think Texas goes for a great season.
I don't know. It was kind of crazy to see them struggle against Wyoming. Three
Yeah, but
quarters.
Wyoming does have a solid defense. I mean, that's why we were able to hold Texas Tech to 17 points and come back. That's why Portland State was struggling. That's why Texas was struggling. Is
Right, they have a good
Wyoming
defense,
defense
but
is
I wouldn't
solid.
say it's like better than other like top 10 team defenses. So if our defense can hold Texas like that, I could easily see other defenses
Yeah,
destroying Texas.
that's fair. I guess we'll see. But we can go ahead and talk about your Chicago Bears. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break and come right back to talk about Bears versus Buccaneers. And we are back. So, Cullen, give us the layout of Bears versus Buccaneers. That was a tough game for you guys.
So previously I said how they're the exact same team, the Bears and the Wyoming Cowboys. First drive, the Bears go out, get an impressive touchdown run, full field, touchdown 7. I want to say they started 7-0, just like the Cowboys. Held the Bucks to, I think, a field goal right after the drive after their touchdown. 7-3, looking decent. And then they stopped playing, like the Cowboys. The score was 27-17. The Buccaneers won. The Bears' second touchdown came towards the end of the game. It was like halfway through the fourth quarter, I want to say. The Buccaneers only had 20 points, though. So it was 17-20, Buccaneers winning. And we get the ball back on the 2-yard line, I want to say. And you'll never guess what happened. Justin Fields throws a pick six on the goal line, and the game turns from a possible tie up going overtime, possible get a touchdown and win, to now down 27-17. And that's exactly what happened in the Wyoming game. Like I was
At least Wyoming was already down like 2 possessions at that point.
Yes, but it was the exact same. Started off great, did nothing for the rest of the time, and then throw a pick six in the fourth quarter when you're trying to go downfield and tie it up. Now the Bears threw a pick six with like 2 minutes left, maybe 4, I don't know, but a lot less time than Wyoming did. So they had, that was pretty much the seal of the game.
Yeah, it's tough.
Justin Fields went 16 for 29, 211 yards, which, I mean, he is getting more yardage. Last season, I mean, his over-under for yards is like 145.
Jeez.
And now he's more consistently getting, over 150 and close to 200. He had 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, one being the pick six. He also got sacked 6 times.
Yeah, that's a disgusting number. With Baker Mayfield at 0.
Yeah. When we were doing our pass rushes, there were so many times it would feel like the D lineman would just stop running at Baker. It felt like they would just kind of like stand right in front of him and see what he was going to do instead of fully rushing and hitting. They were just not putting any pressure on Baker, so he was able to do whatever he wanted. Justin Fields, I've been saying this as a Bears fan for years. We need a better line. Everyone talks about how bad the quarterback situation is, but the quarterbacks don't even have chances to throw because the line doesn't give them enough time. I'll give them credit. It's getting better. There's more times where I'm like, oh, wow, he has time. But it's not every play that I'm like, yeah, he has time to throw the ball. Also on the Bears, 100% on the Bears, and Wyoming, excuse me, hold on, I'm dying, actually.
Getting choked up over the Bears over here and how heartbreaking of a game it's been. While you recover from that, I think, I just want to talk about how Justin Fields being sacked 6 times, I mean, that's insane, especially for a quarterback that we know can be as mobile. He's got a lot of potential for being a mobile quarterback. We've seen him bust out 80-yard rushes when the pocket collapses. And so do you think in these 6 sacks, how much of it was he just got overwhelmed too quickly and how much of it was he just needs to step up in the pocket and maybe tuck and run at certain points because, his receivers aren't getting open or the pocket collapse is just too quick to make a, good pass?
Let me tell you my thoughts on the evolution of Justin Fields. So he came in And like you said, he was doing these 80, 60, 70-yard runs for touchdowns. But everyone was clowning him so hard
Right.
because they were like, oh, the Bears signed a running back as their quarterback. And I think that maybe got to Fields, or the coaches and owners were like, we need you to stop running so much because your job is to throw the ball. So now Justin Fields is at a point where he is trying to look for any pass before he breaks out to run. But now he's holding onto the ball for way, way, way too
Mm,
long. And another thing, I think he's holding onto the ball so long. He's waiting until someone is completely wide
right.
open before he throws it, because interceptions were such a big thing for him season 1 and
Right.
2, and everyone was talking about that. So now I think he's at a point in his career where he's listening to everyone way too much instead of going with what feels right, because he's holding onto the ball so long, waiting for someone to be wide open so he doesn't throw an interception. And he's not running it because he doesn't want people saying how he is just a running back in the quarterback position.
Right.
And I think once he gets out of his head and starts just doing what he needs to do, he has the potential to be an insane quarterback because he has the run game and he has the quarterback skills. I've seen so many of his college highlights. He has the skills for quarterback, but he's just way too in his head about what the media is saying. So he's playing way too conservative for what needs to be played.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I mean, he's at a point where he's being called to basically mature as a quarterback and step into this role as your stereotypical quarterback of, pass the ball, hand the ball off. You're not really busting out runs unless you have to. Um, and I think that's going to hurt him. I think he has such potential to be such a crazy hybrid quarterback of a, people, like you said, people calling him for being a running back, but it's like if you have an offense where you can have two running backs in the backfield and one of them can throw the ball too. Granted, Justin Fields isn't perfect at it yet, but if you keep working on it, that is such a dual threat team. I mean, you got QB options you can constantly run. You've got shovel passes, flea flickers. Alongside the fact that the second the pocket collapses, Justin Fields is gone. So then all of a sudden you have to have one, maybe two QB spies on defense at all times. Because what if, you're going man to man with like a cover one or something, your safety back there tracking all these deep routes. No one's watching Justin Fields. That's a 30, 40-yard run right there. And unless he goes for more because it is Justin Fields and he has the speed and agility to do so. So I think the Bears are hurting themselves by not allowing Justin Fields to be the running quarterback he could be. I mean, you look at Lamar Jackson. Why was Lamar Jackson's first season with the Ravens so memorable? It was because he was such a crazy running quarterback. I mean, think when he was at Louisville, everyone was talking about this quarterback that could also just bust it out of the pocket for like 70 yards, like it's nothing, who has the speed and agility of a running back. No one was making fun of him because it was the first time we were seeing it, and it was phenomenal. We saw it with Mariota in Oregon way back when, and again, everyone was impressed and amazed by it. And so you see Lamar Jackson, you see Justin Fields, who can do the same thing, and you see Jalen Hurts, who can also do the same thing. And it's just interesting that Justin Fields is the one who's getting made fun of the most and clowned the most because of his lack of ability at actually throwing the ball that they need to develop
Yeah.
more. I mean, that's why they're making fun of him. So I don't think the answer is making him stop running. I think the answer is keep pushing that, especially if you're not going to have a line that's going to protect him, but work on his passing so that he becomes that dual threat that he has the potential to be.
Yeah. I mean, and I've seen once the pocket collapse and he's able to get out of it and even just run along the scrimmage line, like
Mm,
he can get the ball out if he needs to, but he's playing so conservative. He's staying in the pocket even after it collapses, and then he's just taking the sack. If he can get out of that pocket and run along the line and then get a 2-3 yard pass, that's positive yardage. And I think he's just so scared that he's going to throw an interception, or if he runs, people are going to be talking about it. And it's like, who cares? No, none of these people that are talking about you running are making millions of dollars. None of them are winning NFL football games. None of them are trying to
Now
get
there's
to a
Justin
Super
Fields,
Bowl.
but
Stop. None of them are trying to get to a Super Bowl and, make their franchise a name. Like, no one's that's talking about you doing these things is doing what you're doing. Like, who cares what they're saying? Once that pocket collapses, get out and run it for even 5 yards. You don't have to make a 70-yard run every time, but get positive yardage, or get out of the pocket, throw it to someone who's 2 yards deep, get those 2 yards. Tom Brady wasn't super successful because he just stayed in the pocket until someone was wide open.
right.
He threw a check down pass, got the 3 yards, and then looked for something else the next play.
No, yeah, I think the Bears are at an important part of their season, of their franchise, where they got to decide what they're going to do with Justin Fields. And if they're going to force him to just stay in the pocket, then they got to protect him, because 6 sacks is not going to win you games. He's feeling that pressure, and that's why he threw 2 interceptions, and one of them was a pick six at such a pivotal moment of the game. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward, but I'm hoping they don't give up on Justin Fields, because I do think he has good potential. But moving on to another disappointing game, we have one of my teams, the Denver Broncos, versus the Washington Commanders. We lost this game 35-33 after being up 21-3 at one point before the half. Legit 4 minutes before the half, we were up 21-3. At halftime, I think we were up like 21-17. That's how out of hand it got.
Yeah, I will say I really liked this game.
It was a good game.
One of my my
Robinson,
flex players made the last 2 touchdowns for the Commanders.
Brian Robinson or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
I saw that. That made me mad. The game made me mad. I played you in fantasy this week, so I wasn't happy with that. It was Yeah, I don't even know where to start. I mean, what's
Brian
crazy
Robinson had 38 points.
Yeah, it's nuts. What's crazy is Russell Wilson had 18 completions out of 32 passes. Not a great completion percentage. But 18 completions for 308 yards. Granted, 50 of those yards were in the last play of the game.
Yeah.
But he threw 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, granted, and was sacked 7 times for a QB rating of 54. And I guarantee it's just because of the sacks. I guarantee the only reason it's so low is because he got sacked 7 times.
I'm assuming because Fields got sacked 6 times for 42 yards.
Yeah. No, you're losing yards on all those sacks. So, I mean... Yeah. And Russell Wilson is not a mobile quarterback. He's not the type that can step up in the pocket.
It's not as young as he used to be.
It's not as young as he used to be. And that's the issue with the Broncos turning into a retirement home and getting all these quarterbacks getting ready for retirement is like, yeah, Joe Flacco was good at one point in his career. We just happened to get him when he was like, collecting his retirement paychecks. And, Peyton Manning was good at one point in his career, and thankfully he was still at that level when we got him. I mean, he still had a couple years left in him. But like Russell Wilson hasn't been good in a couple years. He hasn't been good since he beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl, like way back when. And
his first season.
And I don't know if it's Russell Wilson that's the problem. I don't know if it's Sean Payton. I mean, we had Hackett last season, Sean Payton this season, and it's looking like the exact same season. So,
I mean, you guys scored more than 18. Still lost, but you did it.
Scored more than 18. That is true. We didn't last week, but yeah. And I mean, Russell Wilson making an Aaron Rodgers-esque play of a 50-yard Hail Mary touchdown pass was just insane. But, those of you listening might agree with me, but I know you do, Cullen, that there was a little bit of interference on the 2-point conversion. And
two different interference.
Yeah, it was rough, and it cost us the game. And I don't ever want to be that fan where I'm just like, oh man, if the refs weren't on the other team's side, then we could have won. I don't, whatever. But
right, because if your team's good enough, then they wouldn't have needed a 2-point conversion with no time
right.
left. But at the same time,
that is such an insane part of the game.
And it felt thrown to me. I mean, like I said, I saw two different pass interferences after a crazy Hail Mary that got passed back 3 times. I was so excited to see the Broncos tied up and go into overtime, mainly because I wanted Robinson to get more points in overtime. But to see 2 pass interferences, I was like, oh, cool, they get to try again. And then they're like, and that's the game. I was shocked that not a single ref on the field called the 2 different pass interferences. At least one for sure. The other one, maybe, it was so close in the end zone. Maybe they're saying it was only, the 5 yards that they get.
Right.
But the one that was going directly to the guy for the 2-point conversion was 100% a pass interference in my vision of what a pass interference is.
Yeah.
I feel like they definitely should have got, their half the distance to the goal and then replay the 2-point.
Yeah, it was a rough ending, and I'm not too hopeful for this season. Maybe we can do terrible enough we get first pick and can get like Bo Nix or something. We're not going to have a good draft class.
The Bears are still in the NFL.
We're both competing for first pick of the draft at this point.
What's funny is I'm pretty sure the only 2 games that the Bears can win this season is against the Broncos.
Oh yeah,
and the
we
Panthers.
play each other, and it's at like
week 4 in Chicago.
That week 4, okay. I was like, could you imagine if the Broncos Bears game is the last? You guys played Packers last of the season, but could you imagine if it was the last of the season to determine who gets the first round pick in the draft?
We're both sitting at 1 and
just throw in the game.
15.
Russell
like,
Wilson's
oh shoot, interception, and they're like, oh shoot, accidentally fumbled it.
Those stats would be disgusting. Justin Fields 7 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. Russell Wilson 10 interceptions, 1 touchdown on accident.
Accidentally threw a touchdown because he is Russell Wilson.
Gosh, yeah, that would have been nuts.
But I do see the Bears beating the Broncos and the Panthers because they're both in Chicago. And those are the only 2 games I see the Bears really winning this season.
Yeah, I think you guys probably take us in that game. It'll be a fun one to talk about after it happens, but we need like maybe put up like a little gentleman's wager for that game. I don't know what we would do, but
$200.
No money, please.
Oh,
Baldur's Gate 3.
That's money.
Oh, it's a video game. All right, let's get away from this depressing football and get to Oregon versus Hawaii.
That's football.
Heck yeah. Well, depressing football. I took it away from depressing football. We're getting to good football.
I thought you just meant football in general.
We got the University of Oregon, baby. 55-10 against Hawaii. I don't want to talk about it. But
you hyped it up like it was insane.
I know.
Hawaii.
What's so terrifying is we play Colorado next week, and it's going to be like our first official test of the season, I'd say. I mean, we played Texas Tech, Portland State, and Hawaii. None of those are like, we struggled against Texas Tech. So like,
struggled worse than Wyoming did.
I know. I think Colorado is going to be a good measuring point of how we're looking this season, and if we actually have a good, championship run in us, or if it's just we have an easy schedule. Because I mean,
I'm going to take Colorado.
Yeah, that's fair. But hey, man, we moved up 3 points after this game to number 10 in the latest AP polls, so I'm happy with it. Bo Nix is having himself a season
How do you
already
move up 3 after beating
against
Hawaii?
Hawaii. I have no idea who we passed, but
It's like going to play like dodgeball against some kindergartners, and then you move up to first place because you beat them.
hey, man, I'll take it. Number 10. We cracked the top 10 just because we beat Hawaii 55-10. I wonder if it's the points we're putting up. I don't know. But, I mean, Bo Nix, dude, 247 yards and 3 touchdowns. I know they're talking about him for a
Tight.
Heisman run this season, but like it's hard when you have like Shadir Sanders and Caleb Williams also making Heisman runs, and they're both also putting up ridiculous numbers. So I don't think Bo
Better
Nix is
numbers than Bo Nix.
okay. I said ridiculous. I didn't say better. Okay, Bo Nix is also
They
putting
are
up
better.
ridiculous. Everyone's putting up ridiculous. Bo Nix is just a slightly less ridiculous.
He only had 247 yards.
What should Shadir throw against CSU?
I don't know, but that one game he had like 500.
Oh yeah, I'm not even gonna look up that. That's the guy who put up the 500-yard game. No, yeah, I don't. As much as I'd love to see Bo Nix get a Heisman, I don't think he's getting one.
Let's look up some stats.
You want to know now?
So Sanders had 348 yards against CSU
Wow.
with 4 touchdowns, which is more than Bo Nix against Hawaii.
Thanks.
Against Nebraska, he had 393 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then against ranked number 17 TCU, game 1 of the season, he had 510 yards and 4 touchdowns.
You want to hear what Caleb Williams is doing?
Probably nothing.
No, it's something. Caleb Williams, first game, San Jose State, 278 yards for 4 touchdowns. Then they played Nevada for 319 yards for 5 touchdowns. And then they recently played Stanford for 281 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has already thrown 12 touchdowns on the season in 3 weeks of football.
It's disgusting.
For almost 1,000 yards. What's
Bo Nix.
What's insane is he's ranked 4th for QBR for the season.
It must be how low of yards he has or something. Maybe he has a bad completion percentage.
No, his QBR for the first 3 games, 84.9, 92.1, 97.6.
Who's doing better than that?
I have no idea. Let me see. Anyways, what are you going to say?
Bo Nix, the game that they won 81-7 against Portland State, only had 40 more yards than this Hawaii and the exact same amount of touchdowns.
Nice. Well, here's an AP. Is it AP? And it's not even AP. I don't want to read through this. It's top 131 quarterbacks. I'm not about to sit through this. Here we go. Season leaders QBR. Michael Penix Jr. from Washington is leading with an average of 94.2. Let's see what Michael Penix is doing this season. Goodness. Oh my gosh. All right, so here's his stats. First game against Boise, 450 yards for 5 touchdowns. Okay. Second game against Tulsa, 409 yards for 3 touchdowns. And not latest bad. Game against Michigan State, 473 yards for 4 touchdowns. He has thrown 1,332 yards for 12 touchdowns in 3 games.
That is disgusting.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know if Justin Fields will have 1,000 yards in the whole season.
Yeah, Bo Nix is ranked 17 on QBR this season. God. So, is Wyoming in this list? I don't think Wyoming's top 50. Yeah. Dude, that's... Oh, no. Peasley, number 23.
Oh, wow. That is actually really surprising.
He's averaging a 78.8. Shadir Sanders is number 21, so kind of close. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. And then second is Texas A&M's quarterback, who has 909 yards and 8 touchdowns on the season. Third is Oklahoma's quarterback with 905 yards and 11 touchdowns, and then Caleb Williams at 4. So that's insane that like Penix is doing this. I don't think I've heard anything about Penix as a Heisman potential.
Never even heard of him.
So if he's not in the conversation, dude, it's rigged. Like that's insane.
You know it's rigged.
I know. Dude, last season he finished with 4,641 yards and 31 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad he goes to the NFL.
For real. Maybe the Broncos can get him.
In 20 years.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we will head on over to our News Around the World segment, talk about some sports happenings around the world. But before we do that, we're going to head to a quick break, and we will be right back. And we're back to Average Jose's Sports Talk. First agenda I got here for News Around the World. I mean, we got to talk about it. Colorado versus CSU. It was such an insane game. Probably one of the best games of this past week out of all of football. Such a good game.
Was I?
Colorado won this game 43-35. There's plenty of fights happening before and during the game. But before we get to all this, did you watch the Henry Blackburn hit on Travis Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it was a late hit, which they didn't even call it a late hit. They called it pass interference.
Sorry, yeah. They called it something. I think it was pass interference, yeah.
They called it pass interference on the guy that actually hit him. They called something else on a different guy. I was like, that doesn't make sense because he's the one that came up with the late hit. He wasn't even there when the pass happened. How's that pass interference? So they definitely let him off easy. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was like a targeting call, so I wouldn't say that he needed to be ejected or anything. But it was definitely a dirty hit. The ball was on the floor before he even hit it.
Play was over.
He slammed into him with the shoulder.
I mean, Travis Hunter went to the hospital with a lacerated liver.
Which that I don't get, because like the area that he hit him, I could have swore was on like his front part of his body. I didn't understand how it lacerated his liver.
Right, and the thing is, he didn't go to hospital after that play. He played for like another quarter, and then like just couldn't do it anymore. So I don't know if like it was a separate injury. I don't know if that just like loosened up his liver for something else to lacerate. I don't know. Like I don't know how it works, but that's just insane. And now Henry Blackburn, the guy that hit him and his family are getting death threats over the whole situation.
Like, I'm not saying you should send death threats, but like, I'm not telling you not to send death threats.
If you would, I'd be like, what's crazy is I couldn't tell you to send him to like this address right here. That'd be insane. Like if I like gave you his address at like 222 West Boulevard, Fort Collins. That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts.
Like that's not something you can do.
And I couldn't tell you that he's always at his home from like 7 to 10 p.m. at night doing nothing but just sitting there. That'd be insane. Like
disgusting. Like
wild. And I absolutely could never. It'd be insane for me to even mention the spare key under his doormat. Like that's nuts.
Like you can't tell people that because they might use that to their advantage.
So.
Be in a terrible situation.
No, that is tough. I mean, like anytime like a player gets death threats for playing the game, like was that hit dirty? Yeah. Was it unnecessary? Yeah. I don't know what was going through his mind when he did it. If he truly thought the ball was still in play and just made a mistake, or if he was like, "Oh, I'm about to put Travis Hunter out of this game because he's their best player." I don't know, but it's still tough that him and his family have to like deal with this now. Do you think that Colorado's a fluke after watching this game. They dropped a point to number 19 after that.
Hmm.
Does this like show anything about, is Colorado? I mean, they beat TCU first game of the season, so clearly like that they're not a fluke on that end. TCU they were competing in the championship last year, but they did just struggle against CSU, who CSU is 0-1 to start the game. CSU had a whole week off too. Like they have not played football since like 2 weeks ago.
I don't know. It's tough. I think Colorado definitely has some things that they need to look at and address and get worked on. But in the fourth quarter, Colorado showed that they are not a team that just gives up easily. They fought really hard and then came back and won that game,
Right.
sealing it with a interception during the overtime attempt to get their touchdown.
Second overtime.
I don't think Colorado's like a total fluke. I definitely think that they are hyping themselves up too much for the way that they're playing, and they need to start addressing things before it gets out of hand and they are losing easier games.
I will say I was at a Target in Fort Collins yesterday when I overheard two CSU fans talking about the game, and one of them did say that they humbled Colorado. That was a big part of the game, was that Colorado's been humbled. Do you think going forward that Colorado is going to be less about hyping themselves up, more serious, more, we need to treat teams not with respect, but like with a degree of seriousness, and so we're not just coming into every game cocky and undisciplined? Or do you think we're not going to see any change in Colorado's culture?
I don't think they need to change anything. I just think they need to play harder. It felt like there was a lot of times where they weren't playing at 100%, even 75%. There were so many plays where I was like, you guys know you're still playing, right? You know you're tied. The game isn't over. You still have quarters left to go. There's just many times where it felt like they were not going 100% and giving it their all. But then towards the end, when they started actually playing the game, they started giving it their best efforts. That's when they started to come back and eventually win the game. So if they can be on for all four quarters, they won't need the overtimes because they'll be killing teams by 20 plus points.
Yeah. I do think it was a good test for Shedeur Sanders to just really test his level against these teams that are going to give him a hard time. And I mean, he was getting sacked. They were getting pressure on him. He was throwing interceptions. So I think it was a great test for him to learn to control his emotions, to learn to just grit his teeth and get through it. I mean, that drive that Colorado had at the end of the game to tie it up was insane. They legit started on like their 5 or 10 yard line, and Shedeur Sanders had some big passes to push him downfield. So I do think it was a great game for him. Stats wise, you talked about that, but I think also just mentally, it really showed him that he can handle it. He can take this, he might have a concussion after that targeting it.
Yeah.
So they haven't said anything about it, so hopefully he's still good to go. I mean, they could just be hiding a concussion, but whatever.
It's not our lives.
Yeah. All right. So, quick game I want to talk about is the Florida-Tennessee game, or at least the end of the Florida-Tennessee game, because it was kind of nuts. So, Florida wins 29-16. Florida has the ball to end the game. Tennessee has no chance of winning. 10 seconds left. 2-possession game, and Tennessee calls a timeout as the clock's winding down. Like, Florida does their kneel or whatever. Clock goes down. People start to walk onto the field how they do when the clock's out. Everything's wrapping up. And then all of a sudden, the whistles are blown. Refs tell everyone to get back because Tennessee calls a timeout for no reason but to make Florida run another play. They can't win the game off this play. There's literally no reason for it. And so what ends up happening is they do this. Florida has to take a knee again. So, quarterback calls hike. He's going to burn the clock out because it was like 4th and 16, I think. So, he calls hike. He drops back a little bit, just waiting for like pressure to come to him, and then drops and does a knee. Well, after he does a knee, a Tennessee player just pops him for no reason, right? Fight breaks out. Everyone's angry. Everyone's going berserk. Insane ending. Tennessee ends up dropping 12 points to number 23, and Florida jumps into the top 25 poll at number 25. So, what do you think was the reasoning behind Tennessee's coach calling this timeout? Like, what was going on with all this?
I mean, if it was fourth, I didn't see what down it was, but if it was fourth, he knew that they would have to do another knee, which would give them like a couple seconds left on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
So my only thinking is he's trying to get as many points as possible.
Right.
I'm wondering if that determines, their ranking. Maybe if they'd scored another touchdown, made it closer, they would have been higher than 23. Also,
the rivalry game too, I'm pretty sure.
There's a thing that happened with the Rams. They kicked a field goal even though they couldn't win the game.
Remember that, yes.
Because of Vegas or whatever. But people in the comments of that video said it's to have higher total points because if at the end of the season they are tied with someone else, the exact record, trying to get into the playoffs, then they go down to total points on the season. So those 3 extra points could push them over. I don't know how that works in college. I don't know how that affects ranking and everything. That's my only thinking of why they would try to get the ball back with, 4 seconds left. I do want to talk about the hit, though. Yes, you could tell the quarterback was going for a knee. But also, as a defensive lineman's job,
play to the whistle.
He's supposed to keep going until that whistle blows. And once the quarterback goes to take a knee, he doesn't fully hit him. Yes, he maybe leans in with his shoulder.
Popped him, yeah.
The quarterback's going down though to his knee. Obviously, he's going to drop to his shoulder level. But once he hits him and then pulls off and comes back and raises his arms. I did think it was a late hit, like I said. I did not think it was this super aggressive hit that everyone online is talking about.
Right.
I watched it over and over trying to see maybe he does this. But it definitely wasn't a malicious, I'm going to destroy that quarterback. I'm going to make him hurt. I'm going to give him a concussion. I'm going to make sure he doesn't play next week. Once he started to go down, it did feel like the defensive dude pulls off, still gets the hit in. He should have known that the quarterback wasn't going to attempt a full run. But again, his job is to keep going until the whistle blows. That quarterback didn't take a knee right away. Not often do you see them get in victory formation and then stand up and run around. For all that defensive dude knows, that quarterback's going to try and book a run right now and get another touchdown just to say F you to Tennessee. So I didn't think it was a super malicious, disgusting hit.
I think part of the reason Florida reacted the way they did was because they already felt disrespected by the timeout. They felt like it was ruining their celebration. I mean, they beat Tennessee. They beat a ranked team. And, this timeout happens. They can't celebrate yet. The whole thing probably just felt disrespectful to them. And then out of nowhere, their quarterback gets hit while giving himself up. It's gonna cause some hurt feelings. Tennessee Florida is already a charged game, a charged rivalry. So you've got that side of it too. I mean, if it would have happened in CSU, Colorado, we would have seen something similar where fight breaks out and stuff like that.
Seen a lot worse, probably.
And so I think that there's just so many factors to it, and it was just not a perfect situation, and everything just added up perfectly to create a little fight at the end, and it was insane. But Tennessee's dropping like a rock this season, dude. Tennessee is 23 now after already dropping, I want to say 10 or 8 points the week before. Is it possible we see Tennessee exit the top 25 polls next week?
I don't know. Who do they play next week? I feel like they have to have a big game if they
Yeah.
want to make a comeback.
They play UTSA, the Roadrunners, unranked team.
If they don't win that, then they have a problem.
Oh, if they lose that game, it's over. Their season's done. Yeah. Sweet, dude. Yeah, it was a crazy game. I just want to talk about it. But what I want to get to next is Alabama versus South Florida. Now, Alabama struggled. This game, they won this game 17-3, got off to a really slow start, and they even dropped 3 points to number 13. I don't know the last time I've seen Alabama outside the top 10. It's so weird to say. They're having some serious quarterback troubles. They have used 3 separate quarterbacks in their last 2 games. This week against South Florida, and then last week against Texas. Jalen Milroe was benched in the Texas game, because Texas was last week, I think. Yeah. He got benched after 2 interceptions. Didn't play a single snap this week. This week, we see his backup, Tyler Buckner, get benched against South Florida after going 5 for 14 and 34 yards for what I'm pretty sure was like the first half. So then they bring in their third stringer, redshirt freshman Ty Simpson to finish the game, who goes 5 of 9, 73 yards, but again, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What is going on, dude? Like,
I haven't seen Alabama struggle ever. I've seen them throw a quarterback to the NFL and then the next season have a Heisman winning quarterback immediately. It is weird seeing them not have full establishment. I also don't know how they drop so hard. Yes, they didn't do insane things against South Florida, but they also didn't lose the game.
I do think it's
I don't know
interesting
why they dropped 10 spots.
Yeah, they dropped 3 to number 13. They were 10 before.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting that Georgia was struggling in their game, but Georgia didn't move at all. So I do think that's they still won, and they won by a decent amount. But I mean, Alabama won by 2 possessions. Georgia put up more points, I know, than Alabama did. I do think it's
more points.
Again, though, Michigan at number 2 also struggled. Ended up winning the game, putting up a decent amount of points. So I don't think Michigan. I think if Michigan had performed at a higher caliber, we could have seen those 2 swap places. But I don't know.
Alabama won by more points. Georgia only won by 10.
Really? Yeah. So
the Georgia game was 24-14 against South Carolina.
That's right. They played South Carolina. Maybe because South Florida is a worse team than Carolina. I don't know. But it's just weird, and it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on is what Alabama's doing, because if Nick Saban doesn't get this figured out, dude, we could see Alabama exit top 25 as well at some point.
And that'll be insane. I can't recall in my life ever seeing Alabama not even top 10. Seeing them in 13 is just gross. I've never not seen them in the top 10.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting one to follow along with. Jumping over to NFL for a little bit, we got Bengals versus Ravens, Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. Ravens win 27-24. Joe Burrow seems to always struggle against Lamar Jackson, is what I've seen some reports on. But is Joe Burrow the most overhyped player of this year? He got a 5-year, $275 million extension. Went 81 total yards against the Browns last week, 227 against the Ravens. So is he overhyped? And is it fair to give him some grace, some mercy, because of this calf injury that he's dealing with? What are your thoughts?
I will say I've always thought Burrow was overhyped. I'm not hating on him. I still like him. I still want to see him succeed. But since he joined the NFL, everyone was always just hyping him up like he was the greatest player to ever grace the field.
Yo, shiesty.
And I think it was literally just because he had the one dope picture of smoking a cigar in the locker room.
That's all it was after the LSU championship.
So after that point, everyone's like, he's the greatest player to ever play in the NFL, and he will win 47 Super Bowls before he retires. But he hasn't ever been insane. Yes, he has a great connection with, Mixon and a great connection with
Jamar Chase.
Chase,
Yeah.
even Tyler Boyd and Higbee, or Higgins. Is it Higgins?
Higgins.
Okay. I've always thought he was overhyped. Now, I will say, week one was disgusting, and I don't think he was that overhyped. I think he has a lot more potential than week one. But I mean, the Ravens are a good team, and I felt like that was an average day for the Bengals. I think what usually carries them, maybe not carries them, but it's usually like 50-50 run game pass game. So everyone's always been hyping them up. Yes, they made it to Super Bowl, but their run game on top of their pass game is what helps. And their defense has been trash this season. I have them on fantasy.
Bad.
They haven't done
-2
anything.
this week.
Yeah, so I don't think their defense is helping them out even a little bit, but I don't think their offense is looking terrible. I think Joe Burrow is playing a little under average what he usually plays.
Do you think it's
But
the
it's
calf
also,
injury?
I don't know, because I thought it was more serious in the off season because I had heard that he wouldn't be playing for like weeks,
Right.
and then he played week one. So it could be the calf injury. They started him way too early for what he was able to deal with. But again, I don't know how serious of an injury it was. So I don't know, what's affecting him. He's also never been like a super mobile quarterback. He'll run when he needs to pick up, a few yards. But being in the pocket is where he hits great long passes downfield. And you don't really need a strong calf to stand there and throw a ball.
Yeah. I don't think we see a Bengals Super Bowl run this year. I don't think they will do enough to fix it. I think it's just weird because it feels like they've got some good weapons and stuff, but I don't know what's holding them back at this point. Maybe they just have hit their potential and they're not going to get to a Super Bowl. One of the hot takes I want to talk about later, but we'll just get to it now because it lines up perfectly. As we're going to start talking about 49ers-Ravens game this last week as well. 49ers won that one. Or 49ers. Did I say Gators? What the heck?
I said Raiders.
Raiders. Weird. 49ers-Rams. 49ers won 30-23. Now, 49ers are having a great season. So here's the hot take. That Brock Purdy will win a Super Bowl before Joe Burrow gets one. And I think it's a hot take that I agree with 100%.
I could see that happening this season.
But I don't even think it's because this season. I don't think it's because it's like Brock Purdy's surrounded by like McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and like they're gonna carry him. I think Brock Purdy is doing just as much work as the rest in the group project. I mean, McCaffrey, Purdy, and Deebo Samuel all had rushing touchdowns, right?
As long as he stays healthy. I mean,
if he can stay healthy,
yeah, be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I don't have. Let me find his exact stats for that game.
It's just insane that they were able to find him after having
it's a third string,
and Garoppolo. Like the fact that things lined up so well for him to come and show his potential. It was I was blown away. I'm not like his biggest fan,
right?
But I do think he's a great quarterback, and I think he has potential to grow so much in the league.
Yeah, he went 17-25. Yeah, he went 17-25 for 206 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Like I said, McCaffrey, Samuel, and Purdy all had a rushing touchdown. And McCaffrey 20 rushes for 116 yards. Yeah, I mean, I think what's really carrying the 49ers a lot this season is going to be their defense. I mean, we had 2 interceptions, I want to say, during that whole game. So I think not only that Brock Purdy will get his ring before Joe Burrow, I think there's a very good chance that he's on the road to the trophy this season. I think the
Yeah.
49ers, if they're going to do it, it's going to be this season. I mean, looking at like their toughest matchups, you got the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think those will be good testers to see how the 49ers are playing. But then like their toughest games besides those two are like the Jaguars, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Ravens, which I could even understand an argument that these aren't even tough matchups for them. I mean, Jaguars are doing decent. They gave the Chiefs kind of a run this last week. The Baker Mayfield Buccaneers are being insane this season, so I could see that as a tough matchup.
I don't want to call them insane. They played the Bears and the Vikings.
That's fair. Those aren't tough. I mean, the Vikings defense is a little tough, aren't they? Don't they have like a better defense?
Their defense played all right. Their offense didn't play. So,
oh yeah,
with a 49ers offense that can play, then I feel like they easily beat the Bucs.
I think they easily beat the Buccaneers. Geno Smith Seahawks, I mean, two completely opposite weeks, so I really don't know what the Seahawks are looking like this season. I think they have potential, but I don't think they beat the 49ers. And then the Ravens, I think, could be a tough matchup just because Lamar Jackson Ravens have always just been a good offensive team.
And they have a good defense.
Right. So, I mean, that's their road to the playoffs, is those are their toughest teams. So it could be bad that they're not getting a look at like the Chiefs before the playoffs or the Bills, even though, will the Bills be a playoff team this season? Who knows at this point? But they are getting to play the Eagles. I think that'll be a great game to see what the 49ers can do and if they have it in them to like make a championship run. Do you think we see a 49ers championship?
I think we do. I think they have
the Hard Knocks thing. I forgot
right
the Hard Knocks thing said the 49ers are in the Super Bowl. The Hard Knocks mentalist dude.
Oh yeah, against
Jets 49ers, yeah.
The Jets, but if we see that, that's insane.
Yeah. So I think the 49ers are the team to watch this season. Because I think they're going to have a good season and it'll be interesting. But on the flip side, what about those Dallas Cowboys? 30-10 win this week against the Jets. Hang on, sorry.
But against the Jets.
Against the Zach Wilson Jets. True.
But against the Jets defense, which is pretty good.
30 points against the Jets defense is impressive. Micah Parsons did put up 2 sacks and a fumble. Granted, the person he was sacking was Zach Wilson, who is like prolifically known not to leave the pocket. But I mean, like, CeeDee Lamb had 11 catches for 143 yards. And Dak Prescott went 31 for 38 for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns.
His completion percentage was good. His yards weren't the greatest, just for 31 completions. But I mean, 2 touchdowns isn't bad. The hard part about the Cowboys is they've played 2 New York teams who aren't good. So it's like, yeah, their defense went insane. Their offense went all right. But it's like when they play a real team, what are they going to do against a real team? Like they've played the Giants and the Jets.
Right. And that's why I want to talk about their schedule because, I mean, next they play the Cardinals.
They're going to run through the Cardinals.
And then Patriots. Okay.
I feel like they'll run for the Patriots.
And then the 49ers. That'll be a good game for both of them to see where they're at.
Yes.
But then Chargers, Rams.
Chargers have been giving up crazy offenses.
So those will be both pretty easy games, I feel. Then they play the Eagles, which will be another, testing game. And then they play Giants, Panthers, Commanders, Seahawks. Good little run there. And then they play the Eagles again, so it'll be good to see how they can change after that first Eagles game. If they lose that game, if they can fix what they need to fix in those couple weeks so they can beat them next time. Then they play the Bills, which a season or two ago, I would have been like, that's going to be a tough game. I don't even know this year. I don't know what's going on with the Bills. And then play the Dolphins, which could be a decent game. And then they play the Lions.
That would be a good game.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And then the Lions defense has been doing really good this season too. So they've got a tougher end to their schedule going into the playoffs. I think overall, like the Cowboys have a fairly easy schedule. So I think it's
I
possible we see
predict
them.
that they just run through the easy teams, get
Yeah.
a good win percentage, get into the playoffs, and then do what they do every year and lose in the playoffs because they're playing
Yep.
actual teams now.
Yep. And I think that's what their problem is they have such an easy schedule. So of course they're getting playoff eligible.
Because they're not a
And then they
bad team.
right.
They're just not a top team to be beating the top teams.
Right. So I don't think we see the Cowboys let fans down in the regular season. I do think it comes round 2 of the playoffs is what I'm thinking. I think we see a round 2 exit.
I think I could see them with a round 1 bye and then lose to the 49ers
Yeah.
in playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they beat the 49ers. So yeah, that's the stuff. Is there any other games that you want to talk about from this past week?
Nope, talked about my losing teams. That's really all.
Bears will get a playoff run eventually. It just won't be in your lifetime.
Yeah, it won't be for the next 50 or so years.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and just talk about some injuries around the NFL. It's been an insane injury season. So, kind of mentioned it earlier. Saquon Barkley ankle sprain at the end of the game. Team is saying he's out for about 2 to 3 weeks, which that's just nuts. I mean, for a running back who was putting up crazy numbers, leading the
Running
league.
back who carried the team. That's the only reason they had a chance of winning.
Yeah, so that's heartbreaking. Another similar situation, we had Nick Chubb get hurt last night.
I'd say a little more than got hurt. He got his leg snapped right at the knee.
Nick Chubb, bruised his knee. Uh, yeah, he definitely tore like his ACL or something because that was disgusting. You could see the whole knee just bend. Oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
looked
was
like the trick.
disgusting.
It looked like when you take like a pencil and you like wave it up
Oh,
and
you
down,
go up and down,
and it
and
gets
it
all
looks
wavy.
bendy.
Yeah, that's what his leg looked like, and that is not good. So they haven't released like for sure what the injury looks like or how long he's out for.
They probably got to do so much testing.
Guessing it's the season. So that's 2 stud running backs that are done for a couple weeks to the whole season. That's just ridiculous. And then we have Anthony Richardson and Devontae Adams both out with concussions and entering concussion protocol. So that's, tough. I mean, that's the Colts quarterback. Now we have Gardner Minshew showing up out of nowhere. And I didn't know Gardner Minshew was on the Colts.
I want to say I didn't know that. I love Gardner Minshew. Like
I like him.
I was so sad that he never got like a starting place to play. I forget when it was like 2 seasons ago. I want to say he came in for a team and he played a lot of their season. It might have been the Colts, and
the
I was
Jags.
so happy to see him. No, that's where he was originally. That was before Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I was so happy to see him like on the field playing game after game, and then he got benched again. But I've always liked Gardner Minshew. I love his little stash that he has going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying I'm glad Anthony Richardson got a concussion, but
get him out of there.
I am glad that Gardner Minshew gets to play again because I want to see him play some more. Concussion protocol is only like I want to say it's just one
a
week.
It's just a week. I know that for a fact because I had to memorize.
I think they have to sit one game. Yeah.
Yeah. They're out for a game and then they kind of reevaluate.
Yeah, so I think we'll see Devontae Adams and Anthony Richardson, not week 3, but week 4.
Unless Gardner Minshew has a ridiculous showing and the Colts are like, actually, Anthony, you can go ahead and sit a little longer.
That would be crazy, and I'd be really excited about that.
Another crazy injury we got here. Odell Beckham Jr. hurt his ankle in this last game. He should be good to go for next week, but this is one of the most injury-prone humans in the league right now. Like
after his breakout season, has he played a full season?
I don't think he has.
He had one great season, was super overhyped, and then hasn't done anything since the
This man is
famous
the
Odell
this
catch.
man is the RG3 of the wide receiver position, where
No, because
everyone loved
RG3
him.
at least gave up.
He had to. He was missing his kneecap.
Dell could give up too.
Gosh,
Man
yeah.
doesn't stop, but he's not offering
I
anything.
haven't bought into the Odell hype train ever, and I'm never gonna jump in at this point. So
He is on the Ravens, correct?
yes, he's on the Ravens now.
I do think it's good that the Ravens got him just because the Ravens didn't have a wide
No
receiver.
wide
So
receivers. Yeah,
even though Odell might be washed and definitely isn't playing how he
he can
used
catch the
to,
ball.
he can play football, and that's what the Ravens need.
He's no Kadarius Toney. I'm sorry.
Week one was hard.
All right.
He caught balls this week, though.
He did.
on my
How many points
bench.
did he get you? Oh,
I think 7.
that's
I
not
didn't
bad.
play him.
Yeah,
I'm
I
playing
wouldn't have
Kirk
played
this
him.
week.
Yeah. All right. Your very own Darnell Mooney out with a knee injury. Not really sure when he's coming back. Do you know what he did in that?
No, I think I was driving when that happened, and then I got there and it was like, Darnell Mooney's out. I was like, okay. I want to say he had done something to it week 1, and then like aggravated it week 2.
Okay.
Um,
So hopefully it's something minor. I think that's no, maybe that's David Montgomery's thigh injury. Maybe it was Darnell Mooney. I don't remember. One of them though, I think it was Darnell Mooney. He like bruised it week 1, and then, like you said, aggravated it this week. So they might just need
could
to
be
give him a week
Mooney.
off.
Um,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to see him out. I love Mooney. I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that he's one of the players that stayed on the team. But we do have DJ Moore. Um, Claypool actually played this
Claypool's
week,
not bad. Yeah.
so it wasn't a week 1. He didn't do anything. He actually played this week. Apologized to the team for not doing anything week 1. He did before the game. He went to every person and apologized for not blocking or playing in week 1,
Yeah,
and
he
then
got
actually played,
under
got a
fire.
touchdown in week 2. So we have
I
the
do
wide
think it'd be.
receivers
You guys played the Chiefs this week, so I think it'd be good to just sit Darnell Mooney out and
because
let
we're
him
gonna get
rest a week.
smoked anyways.
Yeah, there's no
So
need to risk him again.
we have wide receivers. We run the ball mostly anyways. We have plenty of people. Darnell Mooney should easily be able to just take a week,
Yeah,
heal
don't
up,
risk it.
come back.
Yeah, and then David Montgomery, like I said, thigh injury. He's out for a couple weeks.
Former Bear, sad to see, miss him.
It's hard. That's a tough one for the Lions. I mean, they got rid of Jamal Williams for him. Jamal Williams went out with an injury too.
Well,
In
yeah,
that
they
same
used
game.
David Montgomery like the most week 1. He was doing
Also
a lot week 1.
they used Gibbs though, who's a rookie, and he had an insane showing. So I do think
Yeah.
that I think they'll be fine. But all right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we will come back to talk to you guys a little bit about women's basketball, men's baseball. I don't even know if there's a women's baseball, and the Champions League, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the episode with upcoming games, some hot takes, and then our pick'ems. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. So like I said, let's just dive into Western. What the heck? WNBA, women's
Western
basketball.
NBA.
I saw the W and I was thinking of the WAC, Western Athletic Conference from earlier, and it's in my head. Women's national basketball. So like I said earlier, it is the playoff season now for women's basketball, which is kind of crazy because I feel like it snuck up on us. And so I thought I would fill you guys in on.
Good over there.
No, my mic cut out.
Yeah, it did.
Anyways, yeah, I thought I'd let you guys get some updates on women's basketball. So the Las Vegas Aces have swept the Chicago Sky 2-0, and they're already moving on to the semifinals. The Dallas Wings play against Atlanta Dream tonight. Wings are leading 1-0. The New York Liberty are leading 1-0 against the Washington Mystics, and they also play tonight. And the Connecticut Sun are tied with the Minnesota Lynx at 1-1, with the final game being tomorrow night. As I was doing some research on this, I was blown away by the fact that there's only like 8 teams in the women's playoffs. That's an entire conference bracket for men's basketball. So that was just crazy. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on the playoffs as they keep going. The MLB playoff picture is starting to form. Playoffs will be starting October 3rd, with the Orioles and Rays already clinching a playoff spot. But plenty of teams are still fighting to fill out that bracket. I mean, I think like Yankees, Red Sox, Rays. There's so many teams in the wild card right now fighting for that spot. So
the Rays that have clinched a playoff spot.
Did I say the Rays? Oh my gosh. I don't know anything about baseball, so I'm really sorry. I don't know who else. Mariners. The Mariners are in the wild card. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as that playoffs picture starts to form. And finally, we got the Champions League kicking off today as Manchester City seeks to repeat their championship last year. There's honestly a lot of like surprising teams in the Champions League this year that I was surprised by. You don't see like a lot of the usuals of like Manchester United, not City. I almost messed it up. Liverpool, Arsenal. I think they're in, but like there's a ton of other like teams too. So
yeah, I don't know anything about soccer, so I wouldn't be surprised by any of them.
Again, don't know much about soccer. But let's go ahead and just look at next week in football. And just some games to keep an eye out for. You want to read that list for us, Colin?
All right, we got the Chargers versus the Vikings. As always, I am a Bears fan, but I'm also a sports fan, and I'm also in a fantasy football league. So I have Kirk Cousins and TJ Hawkinson. I want and I hope that the Vikings do well against the Chargers, and I think the Vikings have the Chargers.
Yeah, I think they take them that week. It's an important game for the Vikings. I mean, 0-2 to start the season.
0-3 for the Vikings would just be disgusting after having a playoff run last season. Up next, we got the Patriots versus the Jets. Again, tough game to call with the Jets offense. Bears, Chiefs, already said. Chiefs.
I think Patriots Jets will be interesting just because it's going to be a battle of like terrible quarterbacks. It's going to be a defensive game.
Mac Jones isn't terrible. It's their defense that can't stop anything, and then the rest of the offense besides Mac Jones that can't do anything.
Yeah. So that would be probably a boring game, but I'm honestly kind of excited to watch it because they're both about the same level.
Bears, Chiefs. Bears probably going to get blown out of the water. Not expecting to win more than 2 games this season. Broncos, Dolphins. I think will be a good matchup. I do think Dolphins take it though.
I think Dolphins take that one.
Yeah. Eagles, Bucks. Like I said before, the Bucks played a Vikings team that they weren't playing their best football that week, and they only won like 16-13. It wasn't a huge game. Then they beat the Bears 27-17. Was a close game until that pick six. That was just a bad ball. I think Eagles easily take the Buccaneers.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting game to see where the Buccaneers are at, and like you said, if it's a fluke or if they actually have potential.
And they have a good kicker, so if anything, they get a lot of long field goals.
Right.
Should be a good game though. Rams, Bengals. This will be an interesting game, just to see if the Bengals step it up again this week after stepping it up hard week 2. Rams, decent first week, hard second week playing the 49ers, playing the best defense in the league. And they didn't even lose that bad. They lost, by 7. So it will
What's crazy is if you would have told me Rams-Bengals game like 2 years ago, I'd be excited. I'd be like, these are 2 top of the league teams, Rams.
That was the Super Bowl. What do you mean?
They didn't play in the Super Bowl, did they?
Yeah, the Super Bowl's the Rams versus the Bengals.
There you go. I totally forgot that it was the Bengals that they beat. Wow.
Yeah, the Rams was that was that season. That was just 2 Super Bowls ago.
I would have been excited because it was the Super Bowl. Now I'm not because it's Monday Night Football.
Could drink and eat a bunch.
No, it was a good game too, but I just don't think that we're going to see that level
No,
this
both
Monday.
dropped off hard after that Super Bowl. They
Yeah,
both peaked that season, and then the next 2 seasons
they're
were
kind of
mediocre
keeping
at
like the
best.
exact same like levels with each other
Maybe they're hoping to get back into the Super Bowl together next season.
together.
Um,
Then I can do college football.
yeah, you can do these ones, I guess. I was just about to talk.
So, like I said, Oregon plays Colorado. Oregon is a 19.5 favorite in that game, which I think is being generous to Oregon.
I think that's super generous.
I think Colorado covers that spread. I do have a feeling Oregon could win it, but it'll be a tough matchup, and I do think it'll be like a 3-6 point game.
The thing is, Oregon plays pretty consistent, whereas Colorado plays up and down. If Colorado plays their best and Oregon just plays their consistent, I think Colorado does take it.
That's fair. Then we got Penn State having to cover 14 points against Iowa. These are 2 ranked teams. I think Penn State might be able to cover 14. Iowa's not bad, but Penn State's
I can't tell
really
you
good
why. I've always loved Iowa. I don't even think it's because of the team. I think I like the
colors,
and the logo on the helmet. I don't think it's anything other than that. Every time I've watched Iowa play, I'm like, I hope they win. Every time. I don't know why. So I do hope Iowa wins just because I like Iowa for no reason at all.
It's totally fair. Here's an insane one. They have Ohio State covering a 3.5 spread against Notre Dame. Ohio State's the favorite. I think Notre Dame takes that game. I think Notre Dame beats Ohio State. I don't know.
I think Ohio State beats that game. If it's the team I'm thinking about, which I'm pretty sure it is, let me real fast waste some time by talking so I can look at last week's matchups and I can find the game. Notre Dame beat Central Michigan 41-17. It's Central Michigan.
Right.
So it's like, obviously you expect them to win. Ohio State beat Western Kentucky 63-10. Again, little no-name
Western
school.
Kentucky, yeah.
Western Kentucky is 2-1 though, but they're probably not playing good teams. Ohio State put up 35 in the second quarter.
Jeez.
Notre Dame, I'm pretty sure, was tied at one point. No, I guess the closest Central Michigan got was 14-21, but Central Michigan is a 1-2 team.
Right, yeah.
Like, Ohio State went in playing a 2-0 team and then beat them 63-10. Notre Dame went in playing a 1-1 team and was only 7 points ahead of them at one point.
Yeah.
They were tied at 7. Like, it was eventually in the third quarter they did pull away, winning 41-17, but it wasn't like an insanely, oh my goodness, Notre Dame just beat this, low-ranked team. I feel like Ohio State easily covers that spread and wins the game.
I think it's fair. Next, we got Alabama covering a negative 6.5 spread against Ole Miss. I don't know if Alabama does it. I don't know if Alabama does it against Ole Miss. No.
I don't know if they – I don't want to say that they do. I want to say Ole Miss wins that game, which is sad to say. My family is from Alabama, so we always watch Alabama games. I wouldn't say they're one of my teams, but I definitely root for them every time. Right. And I see them winning every time. That's because they've always been such a dominant team.
Right.
But this season, not having an established quarterback, not having a team, I think their defense is the only thing that's really holding them in still. So I think it comes down if their defense can fully stop Ole Miss and their offense can make it work just enough to win the game.
Yeah. Last matchup, we got Oregon State versus Washington State. These are 2 stellar teams who are climbing up the rankings this season. I think that'll be a really fun game to watch. I think Washington State takes it, but
I think
I wouldn't count Oregon State out, so that'll just be another game to watch out for. But those are some games to keep your eye on this upcoming weekend for College Game Day and Thursday, Sunday, Monday night footballs. Yeah, dude. Now it's time for some hot takes. I got a couple good ones for you. The first one I got for you, how's this sitting with you? That Baker Mayfield takes the Buccaneers, maybe not this season, but maybe next season, to an NFC championship. Not necessarily wins it, but takes them to it.
I could see it. And I have always loved Baker Mayfield.
You're a Baker fan. I know you're a Baker
Since the
fan.
second he came into the NFL, I love Baker Mayfield. I love him as a person. I love his commercials. Love the way he plays. I think he's a great dude. It was tough seeing him beat the Bears, but I wasn't angry about it because I love Baker Mayfield. And I hope that he does establish himself on a team finally to the point where he takes them to the I want to see him take them to the Super Bowl. I don't even like
Yeah.
the Bucks. I hated them a lot when
With
Tom
Tom
Brady
Brady.
went, but I hope he takes them to a Super Bowl because I love Baker Mayfield and I want to see him succeed.
Yeah. So I think it's a fair take. I think we see the Buccaneers NFC champion run. I don't know if they win it, but I think they get there. All right, next one we got is Micah Parsons. Is Micah Parsons the best player in the NFL?
I don't think we can say that.
I don't think so either. I think that is the
It's
hottest. That
for
is
one,
such a
it's
hot
week
take.
2. For 2, he did really well against 2 New York teams with
2 sacks
terrible
on Zach
offenses.
Wilson. Only 2.
I don't
feel
think
like
you
put
can
him.
say that at all.
Yeah, I think that's not a good one. I think that one fails. That does not pass the hot take test. Yeah, I think that was just crazy. Another crazy one we got here is the Patriots. Is it are the Patriots the worst team in the league?
No, I don't
Who do
think
you
you can say that at all.
who do you think is?
Well, the Bears are on that list. It's hard saying as a Bears fan, but I'm not gonna lie. Bears are on that list. Cardinals are on that list. I'd say the Giants are on that list above the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots are like one of the top even 16 teams. I don't think they're top 50%, but I don't think they're the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't think the Patriots are the worst. I think. I mean, they're still led by Bill Belichick, and I think as long as you have Bill Belichick as your head coach, you're not going to be like the worst team in the league. So I think they're just in a rough spot. They have no, crazy players right now. They're out of
They're just
a
not
time.
fully established yet.
Yeah, they're out of a time where they're a dynasty, and you're just not going to see performances like you did when you were a dynasty. So, but I don't think they're the worst. I think you still got the Broncos and Bears at the bottom of that list.
Oh, you're putting the Broncos below them. I would have put the Broncos above them.
I mean, Broncos better than Patriots, just because I don't know. Anyways, those are the hot takes. I already gave you my Brock Purdy one earlier in the episode here, so
Which
let's
wasn't
get
even a hot take.
it really wasn't a hot take. I think it's a very solid
I feel
cold
like that's
take.
a normal take.
All right, dude. Let's get to some pick'ems. So first up, we got Giants versus 49ers. Do you want me to just put you down for Giants?
No.
You all 49ers.
49ers.
Yeah, I'm saying 49ers as well as on one. We can just move on. Falcons Lions. I want to take the Lions on this one.
Easily taking the Lions. I don't think
Cool.
the Falcons are established yet with their quarterback.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna see oh my gosh, what's his name? The edge rusher for the Lions. I cannot think of his name right now. Played at Michigan. I think we're gonna see him get some great plays in.
Oh,
It's like
Hendrickson?
It's like something like that. It's not that Hawkinson.
Nope, that is the Vikings tight end.
Well, speaking of Vikings Chargers, who you taking?
I honestly think the Vikings take it. They played a lot better week 2. They still ended up losing, but I think with the Chargers defense giving up so much to opposing teams' offense, I think Vikings take it, especially with their defense.
I think especially because it's such a big game for them. I don't think Kirk Cousins lets them go 0-3 to start the season. So I think I'm gonna take Vikings as well.
He might retire after the season.
Saints versus Packers. This is kind of a tough one.
That is a tough one, but the Saints kind of struggled last night.
They really against the Panthers.
Yeah, that was the Panthers game. Wow, that's disgusting. I could see the Packers winning. Their defense didn't play too outstanding. Packers are doing right.
I'm going to
Hate to
take the
say it.
Saints on this one. I think we see Derek Carr. He wasn't really connecting with his receivers last night. I think we see him connecting with Shaheed. I think we see him connect because, oh my gosh, Olave, Taysom Hill. I think we're seeing him tighten that up this week. I think losing Jamal Williams at the start of the game also hurt them because now there goes your whole run game. They had no answer for that, and that's why we saw Taysom Hill get so many carries. So
True.
they'll be able to game plan for that better, and I think the Saints could take on the Packers. All right, Texans versus Jaguars.
I think the Jaguars pull out a W.
I think the Jaguars is just the
I have
common
no
sense
idea
pick.
what the Texans have even been doing this season.
CJ Stroud's there. That's all I know.
Yeah, I don't know what he's been doing on the team.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think Jaguars take that easily. All right, Dolphins Broncos.
I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the Dolphins on this one. I mean, Tua's been having a pretty decent season. They're putting up huge points. I don't think the Dolphins are scoring 30 points in this game, but I also don't think the Broncos are scoring 20 points. So, yeah, I think Dolphins are going to take this one. This one's kind of interesting. Titans versus Browns.
Yeah, this one's tough. I think
Nick Chubb is going to be out of this game.
And Derrick Henry's not going to be out of this game. At least I don't think he is. I'd say Titans.
The Browns I'm going to take Titans on that one.
Do anything insane against the Steelers. So
yeah, they struggled against the Steelers, and the toughest person they had to contain was Najee Harris. So now they have to go against Derrick Henry, and I don't think the Browns have the rush defense to help protect that.
Steelers won last night.
Mm-hmm.
You lost your bet.
I was very depressed on a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yep.
Bills Commanders. Do we see the Bills go 0-3 to start the season as well?
Bills won.
Oh no, they won last night, or not last night, last week. Do we see them go 1-2?
No, I'd see them very easily beating the Commanders. I don't feel they have any. If they lose, they just gotta fire everyone.
Yeah, I think the Bills take that one. I think week 1 was just a fluke. I think week 1, we're not going to see that again from the Bills or Josh Allen. Hopefully, but who knows. Colts Ravens, you rocking with your boy Gardner on this one?
I could see the Colts winning this game. I mean, they didn't do like insane, but they beat the Texans like 31-20, I want to say. So I'll take the Colts on this one. Give Gardner Minshew a chance.
I'm going to take the Ravens on this one. I think that Ravens are just heating up, and I think they're just going to keep rocking and rolling. And you're tossing Gardner Minshew in week 3, and there's just going to be growing pains with that. And this is first game with them this season, so I don't think it's enough for them to perform against the Ravens defense.
It's nice seeing Lamar Jackson play again and actually play, unlike last season when he was my quarterback. And
that's how
played when I had him on the bench.
I got rid of Jalen Hurts and he won a Super Bowl. So, all right, Jets Patriots. I'm taking the Jets on this one.
I am to take the Jets, and that's mainly because I need the Jets defense to do really well because I'm starting them this week.
I think Jets defense does do great against Mac Jones. I think that they'll be able to contain him and they'll get some good pressure on him. And I'm hoping Zach Wilson can just keep working on his game. I'd love to see Zach Wilson start to thrive for the Jets, and it'd be insane if everyone thought the Jets were getting a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers goes out, they lose all hope, and then Zach Wilson still gets them that Super Bowl. That'd be
Super Bowl.
Ridiculous. So I think Jets take that one. Panthers Seahawks. I'm gonna go Seahawks on this one, but I am a little hesitant.
I'm not hesitant at all. I'm taking the Seahawks. If they can consistently play like they did last week and the Panthers are still bad because they have a new quarterback. I mean, nothing against
against
them.
Bryce Young, yeah.
They just have a very new team. They need time. I think Seahawks easily take that one.
Yeah. Bears Chiefs.
You can just put me down for Chiefs. If the Bears win this game, someone paid off someone because there's no way the Chiefs lose to the Bears after
Chiefs
the
have been
week that
struggling, but not that much.
yeah. If Chiefs can beat the Jags, they can easily beat the Bears.
Yeah, I think that's an easy game to pick. Cowboys Cardinals, probably Cowboys for that one. I think they might win by like 1 point.
Yeah, I think they might win by like 45, maybe.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals have not done anything special this season. They're predicted to be the worst team in the league, which, I mean, I think they're already doing better than the Bears and Broncos.
No, I think we're all at
Are they 0-2 as well? Yeah, so we're all fighting for that bottom spot.
We're all fighting for a first round pick.
Here's an interesting one though. Steelers Raiders.
I feel like the Raiders pull it out. Steelers picked it up last night, but I mean they were playing the Browns, who also didn't have a Chubb. Like,
yeah,
I call him a Chubb because it's funnier that way. The Raiders have been playing pretty decent the last few weeks. I think the Raiders are able, if they don't make the same mistakes that the Browns played with, a pick six and a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yeah. Nah, dude, I'm taking Steelers on this one. I think Steelers defense proved themselves last night. I think that Pickett is I think he's getting better and better. I think he's tightening up his game. Najee Harris, I need to do well. So I'm going to go Steelers on this one, and hopefully it gets Najee Harris some good points. All right, Eagles, Buccaneers.
Eagles all the way. Like I said, Bucs are playing decent, but they're not playing the level of the Eagles.
Yeah. No, I think Eagles is an easy pick there. I think the Buccaneers have maybe a good fight in them. I think it'll be a tighter game than we think it'd be, but I think Eagles pull away on that one. All right, last one, Rams Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals. I think that, again, like the Vikings, this is an important game for them where they gotta figure it out, or they're going to be going 0-3.
I'm taking the Rams.
You're taking the Rams?
Taking the Rams. I might be very wrong, but I feel something with that Rams team. Last season they were terrible. This season, it feels like something awoke in them, and they're just playing to a higher level than they played last season. I have a bit more confidence in them than I did last season. And I think that they have a good shot this season to do.
I got you on tape.
50%.
I got you on tape saying that. So when they lose 40-0 against the Bengals, I'm gonna play it back for you.
Do you think they're losing 40-0 to the Bengals?
Nah, it's like
nah.
It's gonna be like 32. It's gonna be like 32 to like 14 or something. I don't think they're.
Bengals lost to a good Ravens team. Okay. Bengals lost by 21 points to the Browns.
To a good Browns team.
To the Browns.
To a good Browns team.
Those don't go together. They've never gone together.
Dang. Well, there's our pick'ems. We'll update you guys next week on how good we did.
And maybe in the meantime, to place a bet on all of these.
This is our parlay for the week.
It is. Also, if DraftKings sees us, please sponsor us.
Yes, DraftKings, we are degenerate gamblers. Please sponsor us. But that is
remember to gamble safely or responsibly.
That is the conclusion of episode 1 of Average Jose's Sports Talk. We just want to thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with us. Feel free to drop hot takes in the comments, tag us on Twitter, whatever. We would love to talk about your hot takes because I'm already out of hot takes for the season, so I need some more.
Yeah, give us stuff to talk about in the next episode, and we'll most likely talk about it because we don't know what we're talking about.
Awesome. We will catch you guys next time.